What's up, guys? Iceman here. Welcome to Meditations. Appreciate you all for coming by. Like this damn video if you will. Subscribe to the page and swat that bell so you're notified next time I post a video. And blessings to my patrons. Links in the description below. May you have many wives. For those who support me on Patreon. So stop waiting for her to come to you, dog. The fuck's going on here, man? I think that a lot of us have been deceived, not intentionally, but by our mothers. Our mothers sort of portrayed to us the idea that just being a good boy, bringing her flowers, being nice and all that shit is how you attract women. Right? You can barely even say that with a straight face now, but I don't really think they knew what they were doing at the time. You know, like, of course, it was always different. And this is an important lesson. A bunny's not going to tell you how to catch bunnies. A bunny's not going to tell a wolf how to catch bunnies. You know, not to say that our mothers were intentionally deceiving us, because I don't think they were. It's just reality's a little misplaced sometimes with women and their selecting of men. So what lessons could we take from our mothers? Well, probably watch what they do and not what they say. What were the men like that they picked? Were they the kind of guys who'd bring them flowers and shit? They'll be like, oh, I love you so much, you're the only one for me. No, of course not. What we observed was something a lot different. You know, they picked guys who were alphas in a sidewinder-ish sort of way in some occasions. Bad boys, tough guys, ex-cons, you know, all that shit. I mean, not my mom, but I mean, my mom, she, the guy, he wasn't like that. You know, he wasn't a bring flowers, worship the ground you walk on, you know? Obviously. So, because I mean, if he was, he wouldn't have been with her, because she would have dumped his ass. And I think that part of what was conveyed with the whole, oh yeah, Ice Boy, this is what women like, and how your mom and mothers have probably said similar things. Part of what was conveyed through that, somehow, I think, is the thought that women will come to us eventually. Right? Because that's kind of how a man's mind works. Because we're like, oh yeah, look, we visualize these women. These beautiful women, this and that, if her hair's done right, she's dressed well, she looks good, she smells good, she's intriguing. So of course, by nature, I'm going to be compelled to maybe approach her. So of course, if I look good, if I do my hair, if I have nice shoes and a nice shirt and slacks and shit, and a watch or something, she's going to come to me, because that's how it works with men. We go to her, so it'd be easier if she just came to me. So why don't I just try to perk myself all up and feminize myself or whatever, and she'll come to me. You know, I think that might have been part of what was going on in the subconscious of us. I mean, let me know in the comments if you're with me on that. This is before we really knew how shit worked, you know? When the truth is, there are different dynamics here. You know, it's not the same. It's like different worlds. It's like we're different fucking creatures, you know? It's like how wolves, they like to eat meat and shit and tear their prey apart. Whereas bunnies, they like to just go and eat lettuce, and that's like their favorite thing, you know? And carrots and shit. And it's like if a wolf would be like, oh, no, you got to try this meat. I mean, this meat is the best shit ever, and it's fun ripping things apart and listen to them squeal, little gestures they make. But the bunny just can't comprehend that. The bunny's like, what? No, that doesn't sound nice at all. That sounds horrible. That sounds messy. That sounds gross. That doesn't sound like it would appease my appetite. Why don't you try this lettuce, wolf? And the wolf's like, the fuck? Like, I have a German Shepherd dog, and I'll give her lettuce sometimes, and she'll, like, curl her lips up at it, and then she'll just drop it. She'll put it on the ground. She doesn't want to eat it, and then she just waits for something else. She's like, can you give me a piece of meat or something? I think that's how different our perception is of reality and when it comes to the dynamics of dating and laws of attraction, it's like they're different. And that's how it works, because there's a sort of symbiotic harmony going on here. But it's important to understand that it doesn't work the same with men and women. So it's different from what would seem to be, like if we wrote this shit down on paper, it'd play out a lot differently in the real world. But what's crazy to me is how there are still a lot of guys out there, I know a couple of them, who still somewhere in their subconscious, this is what's going on. It's like these guys are at a standstill. It's like they're not going out to pursue. Like this buddy of mine, for example. I have another one too, and probably another one. He's recently divorced. Well, not recently anymore. It's been like 2 fucking years. Hasn't touched a woman since. Has he wanted to touch a woman? Well, of course. What guy doesn't? But he hasn't. And he knows how I found mine. He's like, man, wow, really nice, man. Wow, you found yours at the grocery store? He's like, yeah. How many times am I going to tell you this fucking story? So you just went up, how'd she act? I was like, I don't fucking remember. I did it to like 100 chicks. And she's one of the ones that worked on. No, to an extent I remember. I remember approaching my wife. This was in 2014, I think is what it was. Maybe it was 2013. I think it was 2014 when I approached her. Shit. It was 2013. It was like the summer of 2013 in a grocery store. My buddy's sitting here talking to me about it now, just like a week ago. In the car next to him, he's like, wow, so you just went up and approached her, huh? It's like, yeah, man, I'm telling you, this is what you got to do. He's like, I gotta get my life ready first, is what he says. What? You got to get your shit together? Really? Why? Today's the day of salvation. I've tried to convey this to him a couple times, and I just kind of given up on it. But it's just crazy how it seems like these guys still think that the chicks are going to come to them. They're not. It's just not how things work. I know I've said this on my previous videos, but women, or should I say the human female, is the limiting factor in human reproduction. If you had 1,000 females and one dude, you could make a civilization in like a year. You could get ready for it. You could make a civilization in like 30 years. All right, 20 years. 15 years. 15 years. A thriving civilization full of adults. But if you were to have just one woman and like 1,000 guys, it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer, man. A dude can produce a child like a couple times a day. Whereas a female can only produce 1 to like 4 children every 9 months, right? Or let's give her some grace, every year. I mean, they got to recover a little bit. So those numbers, they're not even comparable. And all the dynamics at play here have been at work from that fundamental reality. That's why women don't approach men, because they don't fucking have to. They got 10 men approach them every day. You guys ever see these dating apps? If you're a woman who's like a 5 out of 10 plus, you're going to get like 100 messages a day from guys. But if you're a dude and you're like only a 6 out of 10 or something, you're not going to get any fucking messages, man. It's crazy. That's just how it works, you know? They don't, by nature, the woman is doing this. She's like Neo in the Matrix. Like there's all these bullets coming at her. And she's just like, no, 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 no. And then finally, there's one that she's like, maybe I should let that one in. And with guys, they're like on the other side of that mess. They're like pushing out. They're just trying to get whatever, you know? Because like I said, there's no consequence for them. They could produce, you know, a couple kids a day. And there's no consequence. I mean, there kind of is in a civilized society, you know, where they might have to pay child support or some shit. They're going to track you down with your social security number or something. But I mean, by nature, we're still kind of working off those early fundamentals, you know? She's not going to come to you, man. None of them are. I mean, I think back on my time, and I'm not, you know, I mean, I wasn't the best, but I mean, like, I had a lot I could have worked on, I'm sure. But I mean, I'm 6'4", you know? My teeth were a little fucked up, but I got braces, so I kind of fixed that. But I didn't get braces till after I was married. You know, so I'm saying I wasn't like the perfect guy. I always had muscles and shit, always worked out. Like I said, I'm tall as fuck, but even with that being said, I mean, it's actually not bad. You know, I'm tall as fuck, strong, this and that. You know, not bad everywhere else. And even with that being said, I've probably only had maybe like 2 women in my entire life. I'm 38 years old. Who've kind of like made an impression on me, you know, who kind of like came to me. And they weren't all that desirable. I mean, I didn't take them for that reason. You know, I didn't do anything with them. Thought one was a hoe. She had big knockers. Everybody thought she was hot. I didn't think she was hot. She was thick. She was too fat and too short. And being a tall guy, I kind of like taller girls. This chick was like 5 foot. She was like 5'5" or something. But all the guys liked her. She had big knockers, like I said. And her face looked pretty good. But I mean, I knew she was a hoe, you know? And I don't want something eating my dick off. Even in those days. This was in high school. It's one of the last times a chick actually, you know, tried to pursue me or whatever. And then maybe I had 1 or 2 more. Both of which weren't, I would rather just be alone in those days. So it was like, no, I'm not going to go for that. It's like, I'd rather just wait. It's like, no way, I'm not going to touch that. The problem is if you start doing stuff with a chick that you're not attracted to, I've seen this happen many times. Guys just start becoming attached to them, and then you end up with the girl, you know? And why the hell would you want to risk ending up with a girl that you're just not even attracted to? So don't do it, man. That's why the cold approach thing works well, because you're selective with it. Like when I met my wife, for example, I see her. I was like, you instantly make some evaluations. You know, you're like, this measures up, this measures up, this measures up. Yeah, she looks good. She's attractive, and I would say she's worth approaching. You know, so you can make that decision on the spot. And if she's not that, you just don't approach her. So you don't got to worry about ending up with a chick that you don't like. You know, I mean, obviously, you got to get to know her a little bit. You talk to her; those things all matter to an extent. But guys are just so visual when it comes to their attractive desires, where that stuff really matters. You know, I mean, guys are fucking visual. That's just how we are. So if those things check out, and you can kind of evaluate a person a bit in just the first conversation. You know, they say you can read a lot about a person in like the first 2 or 3 minutes of conversation. So you could just stand there even in that first conversation and get to know whether or not she's worth pursuing more. And then you go out on a date with her, and then you sit across from her, having like coffee or tea, preferably. You don't want to waste money on a meal. Maybe you buy the coffee or tea. I don't know. I mean, you could feel the situation out. And it's not too much of a commitment. And then you can get to know her more. And within that time frame, you know, I mean, you got a lot figured out. You know, so the first thing is, okay, at the store, yeah, she looked good. I kind of read her energy, her body language. She seemed like she has a lot of potential in terms of being a female that I'd be interested in pursuing. You go and talk to her. That's more indicators then that come off. It's like, how is her energy? You know, what's her voice like? Is there anything I can pull from this? And then if she's receptive and she's willing to give you your number or whatever, then you set up a date, then you sit across, and then you start evaluating things more. That's just how it goes, man. But they're not going to approach you. It's fucking crazy to think that that guys are still in that mentality. And I have another buddy too. He's all by himself. He's been alone for like 5 fucking years. Ever since his last broad left him. These guys are my age. And this guy's, he just turned 38. Pretty sure he hasn't touched a broad in 5 years. And yeah, they say it's getting harder and harder, but you know what I say is that's defeatist mentality, and everybody's thinking that. So in fact, it's time to go against the grain. It's like the stock market. Everybody's selling. They're like, oh no, we're fucked. Yep, we're fucked. That's an opportunistic time. There's more guys than ever before who are in this defeatist mentality of despair. In which case, the harvest is ripe, man. And don't go on the dating apps. I've said this in my previous videos. Only about 60% of women are on dating apps, of eligible dating women or whatever. So there's 40% of them still who aren't even on those damn things. So you can find them out and about. Just got to do your research and be diligent. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Like this video if you will. Support the meditations through Patreon. Peace be with you.